My name is Mark Taylor. Welcome to Mark D. Maker. Today we're going to be talking about scroll saws. They're an incredible, useful tool. They're safe to use as long as you follow some basic safety rules. And you can make some incredible art, some beautiful ornaments. I'm going to show you a little bit about it. Now, its history basically comes from one of these, a coping saw. So you can do everything you can do with this. Let me show you a little bit. So it cuts, and it cuts pretty nice, especially if you have a new blade. It cuts real nice. It's just so much faster with this. I'm going to bring you a little closer to show you some details. Now, this is the blade, and there's a piece that connects from the bottom to the top that holds the blade in peace. This little lever here opens and closes, so you can remove the blade, put a different blade on. There's lots of different blades to choose from. There's tension. Now, the tension you need to cut because it wouldn't cut very good that loose. So here's the tension arm. You put tension on it, now it's ready to cut. Hear that? That's a tight blade. There's all different types of blades. And they all have different purposes. I have a bunch of them here. So if you have a scroll saw, I would advise getting a variety pack and trying different blades. Different people like different blades, and depending on what you're cutting. Now, most of the wood that I use in scroll saw cutting is fairly thin. Is like this, maybe a 1/4 inch thick. And there's all different types of wood that you can get. This is actually a plywood, which is very stable. Craft stores have real thin wood that you can buy. This is a piece of Purple Heart, which is absolutely gorgeous wood. It's purple throughout. It's a more brittle type of a wood. I got this at Woodcraft. Also with this is called lace wood. I got this lace wood at Woodcraft. Yeah, $4.50. And it was bigger than this. I already used it for the project. This is what was left over. Most of the time, though, I use basswood. Basswood doesn't have much of a grain. It's very easy to cut. It's technically a hardwood, but it's very easy to carve. It's very easy to sand and manipulate. More so than a softwood, because softwood was going to have grain in it. The grain is hard, and there's softwood in between the grain, so that the inconsistencies can make it a little more difficult to work with. Basswood, which comes from the linden tree, is the preferred wood. Back to the saw. So those are the woods you can use with this saw. With this particular saw, this is a Delta. It has a high and a low, on and an off. Now, this is probably one of the safest power tools there is. Now, power tools are inherently dangerous, but this is one of the safest ones. My daughters were using this when they were 8 years old. You almost have to try to hurt yourself to get hurt on this. Let me show you a little bit. I'm going to turn it on. It's going to be loud. It's kind of like a sewing machine. This blade undulates up and down. Now, don't do this, but I'm going to show as a demonstration. This is the back of the blade. That's my finger on the blade. It's on the side of the blade. It's on the side of the blade. I can feel the teeth, but it's not cutting me. And this is why you have to brace what you're going to cut and push into this for it to cut. So to cut your finger, you'd literally have to hold your finger down and brace it and push it into this. So basic safety rules, procedures, you can use this very safely. Cut curves, and you see this is basswood. It's like a dream. It cuts so easy. That's kind of like how you would do a puzzle. I started off with a Ryobi and maybe $110, $120 at one of the big box stores. This is actually an older version that I got from my brother, and it's just been a wonderful saw. But for around $100 price mark, you can get into a wonderful hobby. There's just so much you can do with it. I'm going to show you some of the art pieces that I've done. Alright, so these are some of the projects that I've created on a scroll saw. So as you can see, most of them are thin. They're about a 1/4 inch thick. Some of them are thicker. This is 3/4 inch. But you can see the diversity and how creative you can be with a scroll saw. You know, if you gave a Christmas present like these ornaments or this or something like this to somebody who absolutely loved horses, I mean, you can imagine their reaction. They would absolutely love it. Once you start making ornaments, you'll find that that's what people are going to request for Christmas. They're going to want handmade ornaments. These are patterns I got out of a book for earrings. We got these little crosses. I've given these to a couple of people and actually wear them. So the easiest way to go about this, to make these little cutouts, is to simply buy a magazine like this that just has all kinds of ornaments in it. Let me open it up here now these are the patterns that come in it. They have copies. And you could just take that to a printer and print out, let's say you wanted to make this, take that to a printer, copy it, cut it out, that way you always have the pattern. Take the cutout, spray adhesive on the back, plop it on a piece of wood, take it to the bandsaw or to the scroll saw and cut it out. Now these negative areas, like here, that you would cut the wood out of, the way you go about that is you would drill. Now if you could see here, there's these little drill holes. So you would loosen the scroll saw blade, thread it through that hole, connect it back. They usually have fast release or a thumb screw on it that you can take it off, thread it through, put it back in, then increase the tension again, and then start it, and you cut off that little piece, turn it back off, and then you go to the next hole, next hole. The more times you remove negative space, the more elaborate the design becomes. This one's done, just needs some sanding. That side looks pretty good. So you'd start off
with a pattern that you've already copied like this. Spray adhesive right onto a piece of wood and cut it out. And that's how most of these were done. There's multiple books, especially around the holidays, Halloween, Christmas. There's just all kinds of patterns that you can get into. Patterns are in here. If you want to use them just one time, that's fine. Just cut them out, glue them in. I like to make copies and then hold on to the patterns forever. These are puzzles, so they actually, the pieces come out and come back together. That's when you use a thin blade. So basically the outside of this one was cut. A couple inner cuts. This is one of my first ones that I ever did. Here's some of that lace wood that I used. You can see how pretty that lace wood is. This is a little hummingbird. I was going to make this into a pen. That's a wearable pen. And this one is a wearable pen. It's a red-tailed hawk. And I got a whole bunch of little cutouts here. Eventually I will do a video on doing these pens. These are ducks. So they have just some light carving in them, but this was cut out on a scroll saw. I made a very simple pattern. Once they're painted, people love them. They go crazy for them. This kind of stuff sells really good at craft shows. Now, this is a wing that I cut out on scroll saw, and I insert it into the body of a hummingbird. So the hummingbird is cut out on a scroll saw, the wings are cut out on a scroll saw. I leave the beak a little long like this, and I just trim that last. And it gives me a handle to hold it while I'm painting. I could do some very detailed painting by having a handle like that. Over here's one of the butterflies. This wing broke off. One of the cats got a hold of it. But there's several more of them over here. This one's going to be a pen. This one is not a pen, but you see the wings are simply glued in. All of these, there's 3 parts here cut out on a scroll saw. And this, a lot of people love this as a Christmas ornament. You can just tie little ribbons, and very popular. This is simply just my own design. It's a freestanding little piece with basswood and black walnut with a red painted circle in it. So there's just a ton of different things you can do. You can even just take a picture out of a magazine or even a photo that you like and trace an element in it. Get it onto a board, cut it out. It's just limitless.
I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.